Welcome one, welcome all. Lakeland, Carthage, the season debut of NCAA men's volleyball between the Muskies and the Firebirds. Hello everybody, alongside my broadcast colleague Justin Coorigan. I'm Peter Ferreri. We are excited beyond belief to have you with us right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. We are going to take a time out for national anthem and introductions. We'll be back momentarily. Season debut right here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
1970. The flag is a gift to the college from his parents. Remembering Captain Bavin, we pay tribute to all who have sacrificed their lives for our country and honor those who today put themselves in harm's way in service to America. And now this time, please rise if you're able and remove your caps to the playing of our national anthem.
J.W. Keycafer, his 6th season at the helm. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan. Justin, Lakeland coming to town, facing the number 8th ranked team in the preseason poll. Looking at the starting lineup, you're outside. Hendricks, Nolan at the libero position. Kolwitz at your setting. Ben, Heiss, Schweitzer, and Cholo himself, Ryan Cholowinski. What a starting lineup this year for the Firebirds. They are destined for big things if all things go right and if they stay healthy enough, but they also have a lot of depth this year.
A lot of depth, but a lot of youth too, which could be a blessing, could also be a curse. That's one thing Coach Keycafer has talked about a lot in the preseason is this youth is going to make or break us. We've got a lot of talent. He said even potentially some of the most talent he's ever had on this squad, and that's coming from a lot from a guy who's won 2 national championships here. But the youth could be a factor down the stretch, so we'll have to wait and see. Can the experience of Cholowinski, Otto, can they lift this young team to greatness?
Well, I'm excited to be with you for this doubleheader to start things off. At first it was 1 game, and then they said, let's play 2. So after this contest, there'll be a 35 to 60-minute break. St. Norbert and the Green Knights will be taking on this Firebird squad. AVCA came in, ranked the Firebirds number 8. Talk to me through what the vibe was like for the Firebirds when they got that announcement.
It's just excitement. They know they got talent this year. They know they left some on the table last year. It was tough to just barely miss the NCAA tournament. I think this team's got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, especially those returners who came close. But I think this is a team that knows they've got a shot. They need to come in and take care of business, especially in these games that are very winnable when there's a tough schedule just down the stretch for the Firebirds.
Firebirds going left to right in the home blacks, white numbers and letters, red trim. Lakeland, the sleeveless baby blues with yellow numbers and letters, dark blue trim. Again, you had, some may say, the changing of the guard from last season to this. We'll get to that momentarily. Starting things off, the powerful left hand, down and in were playable, and the season is underway. Out of play, and the Muskies take point 1 with a beautiful set, kill over the middle, Toole. Back to serve is going to be number 19, Anderson.
Anderson on the year last year, 8 service aces, 25 service errors. Looking to turn that around a bit this season.
That one stays in, good presence along the left side for the automatic Owen Otto. But one thing I was mentioning, when you have so many senior leaders, grad student leaders for the Firebirds, and we'll get more into it when timeouts are called, but truly a transition year. But like you said, if those freshmen play at a sophomore, junior level, then this could be a better team than they had last year. Right now, not necessarily seeing it in the first 3 points of the contest. Passing, looking where it needs to be along that middle front. As back to serve is Busalaki.
It's a bit of deja vu here. Slow start for the Firebirds against Lakeland in the season opener. Lakeland actually took the opening set last year in the season opener. Carthage went on to win 3 sets to 1. But a 25-23 finish in set 1 in favor of Lakeland last year. Carthage looking to kind of make up for that this season.
Yeah, after that 25-23 loss in set 1, 25-22, 19-15. So Carthage has put the clamps on the last time these two teams met. Looking over with the left hand. Nice play over the middle. Ben Heiss putting Lakeland on ice early 3-2. And that's one of those things where they're never lucky points for Carthage. At least they like to believe that. Hop serve, and that one goes out of play. Bit too much by Hudson Schweitzer, the freshman out of Middleton, Wisconsin. Multiple players out of Middleton High School, so a nice, hotbed for recruiting for JW.
Yeah, you see that a lot looking down the roster. A lot of same schools. Got a couple of Glenbard West, a couple of West Auroras. A lot of good little pipelines Coach Keycafer setting up here in Kenosha.
And you being a player yourself, you can attest to it where, okay, well, my teammate who maybe is a year older is going there, and if you have that respect for that teammate, okay, maybe that's the place to be.
Absolutely, and that comes into play kind of no matter what sport you're at as far as recruiting is. Hey, if you got somebody who's enjoying themselves here, who's having success, there are those teammates that are coming down the line they're going to want it too.
Cholowinski couldn't find the gap over the middle. The senior out of Lindenhurst, Illinois. Other seniors on the squad, McDaniel, your libero. Noland, one of your other liberos. So both liberos at the senior leadership spot, tied at 4 apiece. Back to serve. Number 11, Sage Zong out of Erie, Colorado. And that's out of play. I am appreciating the bench antics right now, Justin. I feel that, they're having more fun than maybe the players on the court.
And that's something that's a bit of a change from last season. Early on, Coach Kiekhaefer was struggling to get the bench guys involved, to get them excited, to not be afraid to make a mistake with how young they are. This team's having fun so far, 10 points into the game.
Owen Hendricks, your outside hitter out of North Aurora, sends that one too far. So right now, service errors, a challenge for both squads. Pass up, nice one-kill opportunity. Near pin, through, down. Ben Pusalaki once again showing his prowess for the visiting Muskies 6'5".
And that's set to Cholowinski just a little bit off. Didn't quite get the swing he wanted on it. Had to kind of react midair, setting up Lakeland for the good point.
Hop serve. Left side, playable. Picked up cleanly, back set, Zong looks for it, high return, Maury. Down, in, Ruben Emmerich, another Middleton, Wisconsin product delivering, tied at 6.
Yeah, beautiful swing for Emmerich off the right side. Put it through the double block, right in the middle where no one could bring it in. McDonald in, not as a libero today, just a defensive specialist. Serve goes out of bounds.
That one out of play, so a service error. Rotation going to happen. So again, your liberos suited up for the Firebirds is going to be not only number 4, Zach Nolan, but waiting for the
I believe that's 20.
Austin Mallory is your other libero listed, or suited up as such.
It'll be interesting to see if that changes throughout the year.
Yeah.
If McDonald's going to stay just strictly a DS, or if he's going to move to libero, depending on the matchups.
But for what it's worth right now, again, Noland getting the start at the libero position. Quick one over the middle, double block. Playable, tips off the tape. Ooh, power bomb. All smiles, Jacob Donahue delivers. Lakeland's coming out swinging. And we expected nothing less.
No, absolutely not. And we saw this last year. They came out firing, starting off the season on a hot note. Carthage a little sleepy to start.
And that one falls in. Flex for the service ace, and Levi Everts is milking the cow. 9-7.
That's a tough one there because Kolwitz is moving inside to avoid serve receive, but the ball's going right at him. Communication a little off between him and Noland early on.
That one stays in. Firebirds able to answer back. Here's the thing, though, about a Coach Kiekhaefer coach team. Resolve, resiliency. They could be down 5, they could be down 7. Once it starts clicking, watch out.
I think that goes back to Coach Kiekhaefer. He stays calm. You never see him panic. He knows when to call a timeout at the right moment and kind of regroup his guys.
Set left side, down, playable. Hendricks tried to find it.
Great up there from Weinrich.
Nice pass, using the whole length of the net. Joe Kolwitz doing an outstanding job, the junior out of Worthington, Ohio. I always like to call out the passing when it's there, Justin. Sometimes the unsung heroes, you got to get it to the hitters in a clean fashion to be able to deliver. And looking for the directional set was Colin Kenny out of Shorewood. Wasn't able to find it. Serving now is Otto. And a service error brings it right back.
Serving for the Muskies, number 6, Ben Busalaki.
Busalaki now back to serve. Hop serve. On the ground, nice pass, forcing an overpass. Left hand, though. Wow. Hit off the top of the head. Ben Heiss able to deliver just a powerful hit right over the middle. Serving now is Hudson Schweitzer. Nice back set. Was there a touch? No, there was not. Close play. Line official right on the spot. Very seasoned crew here today.
Absolutely. I think that's a good call. He tried to go line with it. Somehow missed a hand, missed the antenna, curved it out of bounds.
Playable at the net, but that is going to likely be that's going to be a violation called. The reach over to try to bring it back into play. Smart play by Lakeland. They only had one option. So Lakeland now forced to call a timeout. We'll keep it here. Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan. Justin talked me through, and I know it's early on in the season. We're 13 points in for the Firebirds. Right now, looking at the freshmen, looking at the sophomores that didn't necessarily get the playing time last year, you're not looking, and that's what we were mentioning earlier on in the broadcast. You don't necessarily have a Mitch Geiger. You don't necessarily have the Keegan Brummets of the world able to deliver what was the expectation last year. Some of those players, in a lot of sets, Gene McNulty, I feel that he's been here since the dawn of time. But you have that transition now from the final players who are on that national championship squad, either on one or both in 21 and 22. Nobody's left now. And so now it's a situation where you have this whole new crop and you're saying to yourself, okay, we need another banner, but it's going to take a full team effort. When you look at Mitch Geiger, he was one of the young bucks when they won. Then he became the veteran, and now everybody's one of the young bucks.
Exactly, and I think some of these guys that were the young bucks back then, now it's their turn to kind of show these young guys the ropes, and it's going to be a challenge. I mean, losing a Gene McNulty, he was the field general last year. He was the quarterback of this offense, so it's up to Joe Kolwitz and these other setters, Ryan Kelly and Ryan Morey. How can they kind of fill the shoes of that and kind of rebuild and retool in time to kind of make this thing work to potentially go for a title this season?
Nice play coming out of the timeout of the Muskies. It's a conversation I had on Wednesday night in the basketball broadcast, a nice victory for the Lady Firebirds of Carthage. I was on the call with Eric Elger, and one comment we made is it starts, and we were actually prefacing this game. And we said, okay, well, during one of the timeouts, how do you get banner number 3? And it starts with conference play. When you get to that point, are you ready? How are you ready then for conference play? It's games like this.
Exactly, and the CCIW, they don't get any easier every season. I mean, Loris is always right there next to Carthage.
Correct.
North Central's always competitive. Augustana's looking like they're going to have a good year. So it's just never an easy schedule, no matter what sport you're in the CCIW. And men's volleyball is no exception to that. So it'll be interesting to see, can this team be ready? And I think Coach Kiekefer is setting them up with that, with some of these non-conference matchups along the way as we get into mid-January, early February.
Doubleheader tomorrow for the men's and women's basketball program, so make sure you tune in for that. A little bit of a one-on-one situation for the Muskies, and that's a situation as well, and you can comment or expound on this if you like, Justin. Cholowinski, he's now one of your veteran leaders, a rotational player last year, but when he played, he was such a key contributor. Now it's a situation where he has to step up from that leadership level.
Yeah, and I think we saw him step up a bit, especially with not having David Marcus for most of the season.
Yeah.
He really had to take that leadership role, step up, especially in the middle. This comes down. That ball kind of got under the block there, I think.
Yeah.
From our angle, it looked like it stayed on the Lakeland side of the net, but apparently not.
Yeah, so it looked, For all intents and purposes, it actually went off of Hendricks and fell. So Lakeland back within 2. Zong. And he sends that one into Summers, Wisconsin, with how hard he hit that. And for those that don't know, would you say it's the first suburb next to Kenosha to the west?
I would say that's probably accurate. I don't
Okay.
know. I've been here long enough. I still can't tell what exactly Summers, what's Kenosha. I haven't never seen the map of it. But I think that would be, especially with the angle he hit that at.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
I always take the Summers exit. When I first started working for Carthage a few years ago, I would take the Kenosha exit, go through downtown Kenosha, and then, of course, you're at a place long enough, which I'm thankful to be. You're like, okay, well, if I just go through Summers, it saves like 5 minutes. I feel bad for the residents of Summers today. If you heard somebody belting Piano Man, I apologize.
Enjoying your drive up here?
Well, you know what? It's a Friday afternoon. It's a season debut of one of my absolute favorite sports, college volleyball. So, yeah, a little Billy Joel will keep you going or get you going.
I'm going to say.
Have you heard of Billy Joel?
I have heard of Billy Joel.
I'm just I
I'm
got
not
asked
Joe Rising.
off the double tip. 10-foot line playable for the Firebirds. Oh, what a nice setup. Owen Hendricks out of West Aurora just saw the shift to the far pin and saw that gap to the right. That's vision. And again, that's what you like to see if you're a Firebirds fan. That next set of players, that next line of what your offense is going to be, do they have those skills? We're seeing it here.
Absolutely. And something the Firebirds lacked a bit last year was the back row attack. They swung the ball very well from the pins, from the middle, but that back row attack just wasn't quite there throughout the season. If Hendricks can be a guy that can attack consistently that well and find his spots, Carthage is going to be a really good spot.
Second timeout called for the Muskies in set number 1, 19-14 for Justin Coorigan and Peter Ferreri. Doubleheader, we will have a post-game show with head coach J.W. Kiekefer at the end of the second game. So if you want to hear what J.W. thought about the first game, you have to stick around for the second game. That's the easy way for us to plug the second game, Justin, and make people just keep watching all afternoon, or evening, I should say, at this point. Lakeland last season, 7-16 overall, 4-10 away from home. And here's a big thing as well with how Coach J.W. Kiekefer has his team going. 9-0 at home last year. He defines you defend your home court.
Absolutely, and they were dominant, and part of that help is once we get into conference play, you're going to see this place packed up. The students love watching Carthage men's volleyball here. They'll pack it up, especially for those North Central glorious games. The big ones that these students have come to know are the big ones that this team needs the support, and they show up in the most immense way possible.
Good to see some other coaches for Carthage in attendance today. Legendary women's coach Leanne Ulmer here today. Great to see. Also had Coach Pepino, the new head coach for the Carthage Firebirds football program. Really a strong end of the season for him. Already some top-tier recruits for next year, so that's always great to see.
Yeah, Coach Pop's come in. He's really made a difference already just in the culture swing and the style of football we saw in the fall was already just a night and day difference from what we had seen the past couple years. So as long as he can keep the recruiting going at the rate he has, there's some big things in store for Firebirds football moving forward in Kenosha.
In to serve is Jack McDonald. And a service error. And again, for those that aren't necessarily familiar with the men's game as much, you're going to have a higher amount of service errors. But you're also going to have a higher amount of service aces just because of the, the top spin power bombs, as we like to call it.
Yeah, the men's game is a little bit more how hard you can hit the ball, whereas in the women's game you see it a little more, can you find those seams? Can you disrupt their offense with the serve as much as possible to let the opponent force an error rather than trying to get that ace directly yourself.
Set over the middle 10-foot line once again. The accuracy of Owen Hendricks. Justin, talk to me. What is the visualization? Hendricks gets that pass at the 10-foot line. He comes up from the big And that's 2 out of the past few points he's really delivered from that position.
Yeah, and I think you're just kind of, before the set even goes up, you're looking at how their defense is kind of set up, and you're just going up and hitting it, trying to find those seams that you saw early on, and sometimes teams will adjust, sometimes they won't. Right there, he took a nice swing on the ball, and they couldn't adjust.
Left hand down. Nice job in the self-preservation, able to keep it in as the Muskies. Opportunity now at hand for the Firebirds. Left hand down in. Powerhouse Hobbs of Ben Heiss. Heiss baby. 3 points away from set number 1. See, that's why I was excited when Sam told me that I'd be back with you on the broadcast. I said, somebody gets my humor, ladies and gentlemen, or my puns. That one rolls through, just stays in, and kind of all smiles for the Firebirds as Zach Nolan just kind of dove at the end, but it's a close play. Yeah, maybe as the season progresses, you want to see Nolan going for that, but in this circumstance, you're up by 5 at that point, 6. Try to let the points work in your favor, or the lines, I should say.
Yeah, and with the speed that ball was going and the angle he would have had to come in at, Nolan really wouldn't have had much of an opportunity to do anything with that from how far he had to go. But I agree. You get into postseason, maybe a little more effort there, but it's opener. They're having fun. I'm good with it.
Triple block once, twice, 3 times a Firebird as Carthage now 2 away. Playable for the Muskies. Right hand, back row. Lakeland keeps it alive. The back set. Oh, that was a beautiful back set. Beautiful back set.
Yeah, great back set there. And Hendricks and Schweitzer just not quite in sync with their block, able to split it down the middle.
And that is an ace. Ace is the place for Lakeland. Got a little bit of life right now. 2 in a row as Carthage needs to take set 1. Oh, what a pass. Coast to coast and anywhere in between. Ben Heiss that time, setting from near pin to far pin. And when your oppo can do a pinpoint accurate pass like that, that says a lot.
Yeah, it makes life easier on the setter too, and the libero, making it so they don't have to necessarily get in the spot if the play goes awry.
Going for the nail in the coffin for set 1, but not able to find it, was Hudson Schweitzer. (24-21). Fans on their feet at Tarble. Bit too much for the Firebirds. If you're Coach Kiefer, just playing the devil's advocate, how many more do you allow before you call a timeout of your own?
I think you go to 22 here. If the play breaks up and you don't play this one well, then you call timeout.
Well, that worked in their favor. 25-21 is how set 1's going to end. Can the Muskies answer back and tie it up at 1 apiece, or the Firebirds continue their winning ways and start off with their season opening victory? We'll find out. Don't go anywhere on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
Located in Kenosha and Racine. Doctors of Physical Therapy, Comprehensive Orthopedics. Golden Oil Company, Lee Mechanical. Pepsi, Riley Construction. Satori Energy. Badger Bus, Bridgeport 10, BSN Sports, Mimosi Construction. Palace Exhibits, Culver's, the Stella Hotel
We're back for Justin Coorigan. I'm Peter Ferreri. Hello, everybody. Welcome into Kenosha, Wisconsin. A little bit warmer than it was just 48 hours ago. That was chilly. But you're used to it if you're part of the Great White North. We appreciate you being with us on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. As you can only find it, one of the premier sources of CCIW action. Justin, talk us through set one, a bit of a resiliency, a resilient effort, you could say, for the Firebirds. Down early, couldn't quite get over the hump, got over the hump, and then maintained when Lakeland really put that pressure on.
Yeah, I think Lakeland kind of got off to a very hot start, was swinging the ball really well. Carthage struggled a little bit early on, but never panicked. You never saw the guys kind of freaking out, or most of them were smiling through it all, diving after balls, even though it wasn't maybe a play they could have made, just to show a little bit of effort at least. And I think they bounced back. They kind of regrouped about halfway through the set and cruised to the end with a 25-22 victory.
Teams have switched sides. Again, game one of a doubleheader. St. Norbert coming up next, and the Green Knights.
Correcting myself, a 25-21 victory. We've been talking about what would happen if they reached 22.
Correct. Well, with all that being said, if you are the Huskies, or excuse me, the Muskies, for some reason my brain went to Northern Illinois. I guess because Northern beat Notre Dame, and since Notre Dame won in football yesterday, a lot of people are saying that, Northern Illinois, if Notre Dame wins the national championship, I forgot the term, but it's like they are, by osmosis, have a share of that national championship. It's enough about the Irish, it's enough about the Huskies. The Muskies trailing 1-0 in set number 2. A little bit of a mistime there for Lakeland.
Brilliant game last night, though, if you caught it.
Yes, it was.
As a Notre Dame fan, I was very stressed.
But I'm sure elated with when that curved in at the very end, that field goal. I thought it was going to hit the post or go wide right. That curved in. Woo!
As also a Chicago Bears fan, I was expecting the worst because that's been my year of football.
Yep.
So I totally expected that to miss wide right or hit the post.
Yeah, some doinks.
We'll see what happens, especially with tonight, Ohio State and Texas. Rounding out that national championship. It's going to be a good game. I like one we've had here so far.
That one stays in. Well, the nice thing about the timing of that, you can catch all of this Carthage and Lakeland matchup, and then St. Norbert, and then tune in afterward for that. Carthage starting out how they did not start out set number 1 with a nice early lead. Set over the middle, punching through, no tip. And another point for the Firebirds, and Lakeland may need an early timeout, Justin.
Yeah, I think right now Firebirds just from the service line looking much better. Owen Otto very controlled so far to start the set, knock on wood.
And a service ace. What a hot start for the Firebirds. Number 21 absolutely delivering Owen Otto. Otto last year, number 14. So a number change in the offseason.
And I think one of the things he's doing really well with the set from the service line is he's changing his speeds. He's going after the same location. He keeps serving kind of middle back, but he's roll shotting. He's firing it. Another shot there.
From the Bic. Boom goes the dynamite. The automatic. Owen Otto delivers again. That is a 7-1 lead for the Firebirds. I'm surprised it didn't happen at 6-1, but at 7-1, you got to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, I think it's tough, and each coach has a different mindset on it. I'm sure if you talk to Coach Kiekefer, his logic will be very different than Coach Rushmer's. Both of them would be very different than Coach Olmer's as to when you call that timeout, what set you're in with it might affect it, how your team's looking. If you're in a 7-1 battle where they're just finding corners, breaking your seams, yeah, call timeout, change things up. But if you're in hard-fought battles and you're just barely losing these points, let them play. Let's keep going here. You don't want them to get more than 6 to 8 points out of reach, just because eventually your odds go down too much.
Here on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Again, looking at where Carthage came into this year, again ranked number 8. They closed last year as number 9 in the final AVCA poll. A preseason favorite to win the CCIW. So eyes are on this team already, and that was without the even first serve happening, Justin.
Absolutely, and we've seen, too, we talked a little bit about the schedule and how hard it is for Carthage coming in. Santa Cruz, Cal Lutheran, Juniata, a couple big names, Stevens. Those kind of games are on the schedule because it's so difficult to make the tournament if you don't get that automatic bid, as we saw with the Firebirds last year. Probably one big win shy of making it, despite being ranked 9th, not making the tournament.
I am personally a little sad that I do not get to call a Banana Slugs game, because I just love talking about the Banana Slugs. 8-1, Carthage comes out of the coach's timeout and getting the reverse point. Prior to my opportunities here at Carthage, I worked for IIT, the Illinois Institute of Technology, and the Scarlet Hawks, and they would play the Banana Slug. So the familiarity runs deep with me and UCSC.
I think that nickname is just one of the best in all of college sports. I mean, it's a name where even at the D3 level, you say Banana Slugs, everyone knows who you're talking about, no matter where you're at in the country. And that's something that is really huge branding-wise. Timeout so far not paying off. Another 3-0 run.
Service ace. My goodness, if right now, if I'm Muskie's coach, Brian Rushmer, one more point, I'm using my second timeout. Otto looked for another ace. Tip off the top. Playable for the Firebirds. Left hand double block, and finally, point number 2 for the Muskies.
That was a good double block there. Kind of caught Carthage out of position. Able to end this run at 11-1, now 11-2.
Just to talk about Otto, last year, team leader in aces with 27 for Carthage. Another point for the Firebirds, so they get that point right back, still maintain that 10-point lead. But Otto, one of those players, you know, Owen Otto, only a sophomore, but the fact that he was the team leader in aces as a true freshman, that says the future to me is quite bright here in Kenosha.
Absolutely. Nice dig there.
Falling away. This is one of those sets. If it continues in this fashion, and if you're the Muskies, you just don't even look at the game film, because every single hit and tip is favoring the Firebirds.
Yeah, I think you can still look at it in the sense of, all right, they're still finding our gaps, they're finding our seams. It's game 1, let's learn from it. But it's not one you're going to put your highlights on Instagram for sure. Now, if you can turn things around here, then highlight reel.
So that is going to be called against Zong, going under the net. And the hits just keep continuing for the Firebirds. Checking in now is Colin Kenny out of Shorewood, Wisconsin, the 6'2 senior. Serving is Michael Yem, the junior out of SLU High School in St. Louis. Oh, you know, not to keep tooting the horn, but Ben Heiss right now is laser locked in. Whether it's using the full length of the net, whether it's finding the gap, that placement when they're setting him up on the right side, the oppo, is just, it's something to behold.
And Heiss brought home CCIW Defensive Student Athlete of the Year last year, but he's making a statement on offense big time so far in this one.
Firebirds get another one recently checked in, Adrian Masaszewski out of Schaumburg High School. Masaszewski, a powerful junior in the middle, standing 6'6", so he's going to get some more playing time this year.
Perfect time to do it, too. Up 16-2, get some of these newer guys in, get them some experience early on as that one sails out of bounds.
You know, you're here on a daily basis, Justin. Talk to me through what it's like with Coach Kike for getting in some of those rotational players, as Justin Ishii checking in, the sophomore out of Germantown, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think Coach Kiefer knows, and he's got these guys on the mindset of, when I'm going to get you in, I can get you in. But I'm going to stick with our core guys when we need to. But the goal is we're going to get you in because we are in a commanding lead like they are right now.
So a net violation called against Carthage. Lakeland gets point number 3. Right now, Carthage, if you're just tuning in, how did they get to this point? Carthage hitting at a 5.29 clip to Lakeland's -0.2.
In this set alone, it's 0.778 to -500. Completely dominant on the offensive end right now here in set number 2 for the Firebirds.
Yeah, 22-10 to kill differential. This is a point now, Coach Rushmer, he may not even utilize that second timeout, unless it's to maybe bring in, contemplate bringing in some subs. You kind of felt, and you brought it up, Justin, early on in set number 1, if Lakeland was going to give their initial hit, it was going to be in set number 1. We'll see what happens. For all intents and purposes, it's going to be a 2-0 lead for the Firebirds. So set 3, what resiliency will the Muskies have this Friday afternoon in January?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big key too, especially Lakeland moving forward on the season. You came out, you fought hard in set 1, you got punched in the mouth set 2. How do you respond in set 3? Do you force a set 4? And then where do you take it moving forward as you get into the season?
Nice set to the left pin. Oh, beautiful dig by Anderson. And that's the reason I paused, is I wanted to make sure that point, once Anderson made that dig, you just felt the spirits lifted of the Muskies on that sequence.
Yeah, it's amazing how in this sport, one hit like that, one dig, one block can change the momentum of a whole point, swing it the opposite way. It really did there. A great stop for Anderson, the 6'2 junior out of Hartford.
Back set, left hand, too far. So that hit by Heiss, those are the ones falling often throughout this entire second set. Now a little bit far, a little bit long. Let's see, again, the Muskies may not have this miraculous comeback, but how much of a comeback can they make in a valiant effort to get that momentum back on their side? Not going to necessarily happen there with Zong.
Yeah, and I think the Firebirds are missing a little far, a little wide here and there, but the thing that I'm loving right now is they're finding the seams.
Yeah.
When they're missing high or wide, it's not over a player. They're finding the right gap. They're just not quite placing it where they need to just yet, and that's an early season thing. They'll figure that out with more practice as the year goes on.
Jack McDonald with the big Jack attack. Last season, no service aces. Why not one here today? Hitting the tape. Firebirds still 4 away from set 2 victory.
Now McDonald, no service aces, but no service errors on the year. So one of each now to get started.
Off the double, poked up Heiss. Near side, playable, in, point. Say my name, number 19, Eric Stover, the freshman out of Lakes Community High School, able to deliver.
Yeah, Stover just fighting through the block there. Great punch up by Heiss, reacting to it to set up the offense on that play.
Lakeland comes away with another one. So here's that kind of run we spoke about for the Muskies. How many points in a row? Even if it's 2 for 1, 3 for 1, get a little bit of that self-pride back in this second set to bring it into set number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Just find something positive to come away with the set.
Hits the rafters. Able to keep it back in play. Nice hustle play. Anderson again. But point's going to go to the Firebirds nonetheless. But again, the hustle play, the concentration by Anderson, that's a huge component for this Muskie squad.
Yeah, and kind of frustrating for him too, and for the bench. Great concentration, great effort there, and then just a bit of a lax in concentration from Levi Everett there, trying to pass it a little too quickly, just put it straight into the net.
Quiet evening so far for Busaleski. One of the team leaders last year for the Muskies. That one out of play.
Great reach there on the high set for Donahue. 6'6" junior out of Shorewood, Wisconsin. Set came up a little high. He was a little early to it, but that wingspan really helped put the ball down where he needed it to.
Busaleski last year, the team leader in kills by the hundreds, 351 kills. Firebirds at set 2 point. I don't even know. The fans are slowly standing up. They've been waiting with bated breath. So Schweitzer was back to serve. Instead, it is going to be Michael Yem. The mishandle. The point, Carthage with as defining of a set victory as you may ever find, 25-9. Can the Firebirds have the home opener sweep against the Muskies, or the Muskies send it to 4? Don't go anywhere. We will be back. Set number 3 on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. welcome in set number 3 action. Firebirds up 2-0 against the visiting Muskies of Lakeland College. For Justin Coorigan, I'm Peter Ferreri. Justin, talk us through some of the numbers in the first 2 sets. Of course, it heavily favored Carthage, but what stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing that stood out, I did some homework over the break. It's the biggest win Carthage has had in a set since March 30th of 2022 when they defeated Milliken in set 2, 25-9.
Well, the Firebirds picking up proverbially where they left off, an ace already. Ryan Morey out of Redwood City, California, delivering. Out of play. Point number 2 for Carthage. And this is, if they get another point, the adage of the route is on. I mean, this is just everything's coming up fire. Another ace for Carthage. The route is on. This is just, I mean, there's no other way to say it right now. The serving prowess of Ryan Morey. Back set, slide. Picked up cleanly by Nolan. Nolan finds it again. Left side, down and in. Once again, Carthage and Owen Otto delivers.
Yeah, a couple great digs there for Zach Nolan, really keeping that play alive.
Yeah. Number 6 in years past was Keegan Brummett with the Brummett bomb. This year, Ryan Morey. Last year, Morey wore number 19.
Which now belongs to Eric Stover. Playing musical chairs with the numbers this season.
Yeah, you know, that's what I was going to
returners.
say. Let's make our, you know, you think you know somebody. Power kill, left hand, Ben Heiss. 5-1 your score. I don't know, back to serve. Blocked back by Heiss. 6-1.
Going back to Ryan Morey, for those who might not know where Redwood City, California is, it's about directly halfway between San Francisco and San Jose on the coast of California. Almost similar way Kenosha is between Chicago and Milwaukee.
Likely a lot more traffic.
I would assume so.
Knowing that area.
Probably a little higher rent too, I would think.
Yeah, there's a very high potential for that. But men's volleyball, absolute hotbed in that part of the country. 6-2 your score, Firebirds lead. Carthage now at a .489 hit percentage. Down and in. Hudson Schweitzer, the freshman, once again. Justin, I'm running out of ways to say what is truly happening here. Everything's falling Carthage's way.
Yeah, exactly. Even that shot there, that could have easily been 2 inches farther to the left, maybe been out of bounds, but he found that line perfectly.
Another point for the Firebirds. A reach violation by the Muskies. Serving once again is Schweitzer.
And errors like that is something the Muskies are going to want to clean up throughout the year. They're not the best hitting squad. They weren't last year, so that one sails into the net. But this team needs to clean up those errors that are avoidable.
2 out of the 3 points for Lakeland have come by way of the error of the Firebirds.
And that the service errors is the one thing that's standing out to me right now is the sore thumb for this Carthage team right now. Everything else seems to be clicking. The service errors seem a little higher than I think you'd want, even this early in the season.
Heiss with another kill. You know, it bears mentioning, you know, all the games you and I called last year for Coach Key Kafer and the squad, and we talked him into our post-game show. And one thing he would always say is, you know, there'd be games, if you recall, they'd be like down, trailing 23-21, and you're like, oh my goodness, they just had 2 service errors in a row. He tells his team, well, keep swinging. And then all of a sudden they'll rattle off 2 aces in a row. So that's just the type of mindset, that killer mentality at the service line that he wants all of his players to have. And it doesn't hurt when the accuracy at the net is currently second to none.
Exactly. And he knows, the more aggressive we are, we're going to make more errors. But when we're not making errors, it's going to be that much harder for our opponent across the net to receive the serve cleanly. And then we've got what it takes to take care of the other end, like they did just there.
Overpass right into the hands of the outstretched arms of Carthage and Hendricks. 11-3, so already Coach Rushmer not utilizing any timeouts here in set number 3. Out of play, hard swing by the Muskies, not able to deliver. Believe that was off the right arm of Usalaki out of Muskego, Wisconsin. Directional set into the net, so the accuracy a hair off for Colin Kenny. 13-3.
And these are the things that just are not going Lakeland's lane, haven't been since about halfway through shot number 1. The dumps, the sets, just barely catching top tape and falling on their side of the net, just not paying off for them. And that, set to set, that's going to change. It's just part of the momentum in this sport. But unfortunately, it just hasn't gone that way for the Muskies today.
Yeah. Assistant coaches Jacob Bush and David Marcus having some conversations right now with the team. We were speaking about California, and while we have a moment, Justin, again, as cliche as it may sound, prayers go out to all of those affected with the fires in California, the greater Los Angeles area, just devastating. And, even in Kenosha, Wisconsin, your thoughts, you have our thoughts and prayers. But 13-3 your score as we look at the situation here with the Firebirds. They are 12 points away from having an early evening win, but they'll be taking on the Green Knights right after this. Do you at some point to this contest or St. Norbert put in some of the reserves, taps to depth, or do you say, hey, we need back-to-back victories now, keep that momentum going now. We don't want to stop the good juju or whatever it may be, the good vibes that are in your favor.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's what Coach Kiefer was talking to Ryan Cholowinski about during the set, during the break, I should say. They were kind of talking just one-on-one for a while, and I think it was kind of saying, hey, you're our leader, call it. Do you want to take it off now, or you want to take it off later to get some of these guys in? Because rest is going to be a big part of it. These guys aren't used to playing a full match right now, let alone 2 in one night. And with a big lead like this, might as well take foot off the gas just a bit with the starters.
So the line judge said it went on the opposite side of the antenna, but point nonetheless goes the Muskies' way. Sub in for the Firebirds, number 16, Josiah Flager Heron out of Belleville East High School. Austin Mallory is in as the rotational libero, and finding the line was Ruben Emmerich. So indeed we now see those aforementioned subs in the game, while still having Owen Otto, Joe Kolwitz in the game out of Thomas Worthington High, and Hendricks to serve. Hits off the rafters, but playable if it stays on your side. It did. Left pin. Playable for the Muskies. Nice job coiling back and delivering. Eli Weinrich out of Homestead High School, really firing up for Lakeland.
And Weinrich won that switch. I believe they had him as the libero to start this match.
Yep, indeed they did.
now in a blue jersey, matches his teammates. Only one in the libero jersey left is Everett's now.
Well, Weinrich last season was fourth in kills on the team with 128. So the fact that you ask one of your top hitters to then switch to the libero position is no tall task.
It is always interesting to see them switch liberos and have them switch colored jerseys mid-match like this. As Everett's was in the starting lineup, but not as libero, and now flipped. It's always interesting to see, especially with these multiple libero options, what teams can do.
And that tip will stay in for Carthage, 16-5. As we see going back to serve, Jack McDonald. You know, and that's a situation where in years past, McDonald a libero, but he is going to be your back row serve specialist, at least in this opener. Never know what tricks head coach Kiekefer has up his sleeve. You know, and I think it also helps, and you can expound on it, David Marcus, former standout player for the team, now an assistant coach.
Exactly. Marcus, as we mentioned earlier, missed a lot of last season, had some, I believe it was some back or neck issues, missed a lot of playing time, but took that opportunity to pretty much stand next to Coach Kiekefer and help coach this team. It was almost kind of scary to look at. Sometimes they almost seemed like the same person as they were moving around on the sideline. So to have him back, have his leadership back in a coaching role, is a great building block for this young team.
A little bit of a missed time in the passing department. Lakeland backed to within single digits, 16-7. Serving is Kenny. Nice back set. Coach Kiekefer yelling right now. We'll get to that in a moment as to why. Chicken wing, playable, directional set, looking for the far line. Nice dig, falling away, trying for the rollover, and no success. Coach Kiekefer having some words with the R1 because he feels, and we didn't see it from our vantage point because we're up in the rafters, that it hit the rafters on its way over. If it hits the rafters and goes on the opposite side of the net, that should automatically be the opposing team's point. As we stated, if as long as it stays on your side of the net, it's playable. I believe they're saying it hit potentially past, and you know, that's a clarification point. Correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, a service ace for the Muskies. My thought is if you are hitting it over and then it hits that side of the ceiling, I guess they're saying that's playable, or maybe they didn't see it.
I'm guessing it's more in the sense of they said it went through the rafters rather than made contact.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember the exact ruling on it, but it's something we see a lot here, especially with these lower rafters in Tarble Arena. Be a good question to clarify with Coach Kiekefer in between matches if we can.
So the Muskies back to within 6 in set number 3. Now, I don't want to say that the Firebirds preemptively started putting in some of their subs, but with that being said, Lakeland is showing a lot of life in set number 3.
Yeah, they're waking up a bit, but you're seeing a lot of depth pieces in right now. Noticing on the bench, Cholowinski and McDonald both now in street clothes, so their days are most likely done. For this match, at least, we'll probably see them tonight. But I'm guessing Coach Kiekefer's going to let these young guys play it out, and this is what they have to do to learn how to play college volleyball, because it's quite a big step up from high school.
Well, when you keep players like Owen Otto on the court, delivering the fireballs, that's a smart play too.
Absolutely. You want to keep a little bit of veteran leadership out there when you're putting in subs. That way they kind of have a clue what's going on. They can be the field general. So an Owen Otto in this sense is going to be somebody who can really kind of control this floor, control this young group as they get into it.
Six-point leads once again. I will say this, if you're the Firebirds, you're more than content with 1 for 1 the rest of the way. Can Lakeland and Eli Weinrich will the Muskies back? That overpass from the back row from Owen Otto will help the cause for Lakeland.
And Jordan Davis-Trowler getting his hands up there, making sure that one doesn't go over the net, and then got fired up, hyping up Weinrich for the serve.
Hashtag fired up, one of our favorite hashtags. And so is Ben Heiss as the Iceman heats up from over the middle. Shout out as well, Justin, the online video podcasting that I see now. I'm assuming that's your baby as well.
That is actually Mason Miller of
Okay.
the Carthage men's basketball team. He runs and edits that by himself, came to us with the idea for it, and he's done a great job with it so far. He's had on men's cross country, who made a national championship appearance this year. He just had women's basketball on this week's episode. Head coach of the men's basketball team, Steve Jarakovic, has made an appearance. So he's done a great job with it. He's going to continue to. And I believe starting next week, we'll be returning with your little feature weekly recapping what happened.
It is it's a fun thing, absolutely. The weekly Fired Up show, but I really like what he's doing with that information. Timeout called, by the way. The Muskies trailing 19-12 against the Firebirds. Carthage once again taking on St. Norbert next in a doubleheader, half hour in between the two. So make sure you stick around for that, and then we'll have a conversation with Coach J.W. Kiefer at the conclusion of the second game, win or loss. But with that being said, you know, they interviewed Mariana Morrissey, as I like to call, future Hall of Famer for the Firebirds, hitting 1,000 career points. The camaraderie between all these programs, between all these teams, it's really something to behold here at Carthage.
Absolutely, and I think it's something, at least in my time here, has grown a lot over these last few years, and I think that says a lot about these coaching staffs, who they're bringing in, how they're interacting with each other in the offseason. Director Ryan Kane brought in a thing called Birds Support Birds this year, which you'll see a bunch of student athletes wearing red t-shirts that say it on there.
Are you getting one?
I finally got one.
Okay.
It took forever, considering I'll toot my own horn a bit here. I designed the t-shirt and didn't get one right away. So I do have one now. My student workers all have them now, or they will be having them when they come back from their J-term trips and whatnot. But you're seeing them throughout. SAC has done a really good job at getting teams to come out and support other teams through Support the Sport events.
I really appreciated the holiday shirts they have. I'm trying to, is it Run Birds Run or?
Sleigh Birds Sleigh.
There
It was
was
spelled like a
reindeer sleigh.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a good one. You got to give me a heads up. Like, I want to buy these things to.
I'd like to too. I didn't know those were a thing until that night.
Yeah, 20-12 your score. Firebirds continuing on. Again, while we have a moment, you know, kudos and accolades to the athletic director, Ryan Kane, in attendance this evening. What he has done in the few years that I've been part of this program, I mean, it's truly, I like to say it is the heart of a D3 program at a D1 level.
Exactly. Ryan's done great things. It's been a pleasure to work for him. It was something where I was doing my graduate assistantship up the road at Parkside.
Yeah.
And really wanted to get out of the Midwest, get out of Kenosha, and then all of a sudden, head coach of the track and field cross country, Josh Henry, called me one day. He goes, "There's a spot open, apply, get an interview, meet Ryan, see what he's got to do." And he was absolutely right. That interview, talking with Ryan and Director of Communications Sam Boyle, that completely changed my mindset on it. I was like, all right, I'm coming home. Well, let's get back to Carthage here.
Or as some people like to call him, Sam Carthage.
Exactly.
For the time he's been here. 10-point lead, 22-12. Back to the Muskies after today's contest. A 9-day layoff. They take on the University of Olivet, Michigan, in Bloomington, Illinois. Immediately following that, they take on Illinois Wesleyan University in their home arena. And then they are finally home for their home opener the 24th of January back in Plymouth, Wisconsin at Wolfson Gymnasium against Maranthana Baptist University, MBU.
And the Olivet Wesleyan doubleheader, something they actually did last year as well. They swept Olivet 3-0 before falling to Wesleyan in 5.
And again for the Firebird squad, immediately following, they're going to be taking on St. Norbert. Then they head out to the west for, again, we're going to talk about it again, the UC Santa Cruz Slug Slam Tournament.
name. What a name.
a name. Whoever thought of that, give him a raise, or at least give him a t-shirt. You know, maybe Coach Kiekefer will go back and watch this broadcast and say, hey, they like that name. Let's get him a Slug Slam tee out of play after the game, of course. Point for the Firebirds. It is match point, looking for the sweep, leading 24-13. 10 kills leading the charge for the Firebirds, for Hendricks and for Heiss. 2 aces for McDonald and Maury, 4 for Otto. And a service error as you hear the group woo, the Firebird faithful here at Carthage.
Yeah, that serve had some juice on it, just missing that line. But again, it's an aggressive serve is what Coach Kiekefer wants.
That one goes out of play as well, so the Muskies hanging on to life support, but nonetheless showing some fortitude. Again, 9 days before their next contest, and they are the road warriors to start the season. What a way to end the contest. Josiah Flager Heron delivers the crushing blow and the final kill, his first kill of the season. And Carthage takes out Lakeland in 3 straight. 25-21, 25-9, and 25-15. Before we take our in-between game timeout, Justin, final thoughts on what we saw here in the first match of the season for Carthage.
You know, obviously a great outing for Carthage to start. This Lakeland matchup is something that they've controlled from the creation of this program. They're now 13-0 against the Muskies, but it's still a great matchup to start the year, or early year matchup the way we typically see them. Lakeland's going to give you a fight every year. Sometimes it doesn't go their way. Today they didn't get the lucky bounces they needed. They had a couple go into the tape that they shouldn't have had. But it was still a nice way for Carthage to get their starters some good playing time, shake the rust off, and then get the depth pieces in to start learning how to play this offense in real time.
For the flip side, for the Muskies, again, they started out in a fairly strong format. In set number 1, things just didn't go their way in set 2 to 3. What are some optimistic things to take away from what you saw from the Muskies, at least in set number 1?
I think just the fact that they came out and tried to punch Carthage in the teeth right away, build up a little bit of a lead, didn't pay off, and obviously things didn't go their way through most of it, but they also still kept fighting. Some of these points they battled, they were making good defensive stops. Just need to be able to turn that over into points on the offensive end when you're making the stops on defense.
We're going to take a timeout. Go get yourself a beverage, maybe some dinner. When you come back, though, we're going to want to see you with us. St. Norbert taking on the Firebirds in, Justin, if you were to guess, being that you've been around the block here once or twice, full 60, I believe.
I would assume they'll stick to the 7 o'clock. They might roll it up a few 15 minutes, but the fact that we've hit 5:45 and the clock's still not 60, I'm guessing they're going to give these guys the full rest, go at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so be back with us in about an hour and 15 minutes. Tell a friend, call a neighbor, whatever you got to do. Be back with us. But finishing up, final thoughts here, 25-15, Firebirds over the Muskies. We appreciate you being with us, all those tuning in. Good luck to the Muskies the rest of the way. For Justin, I'm Peter. We'll be back, game number 2, as the visiting Green Knights take on the Firebirds on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.